Welcome back to Serenity Speaks, Conversations on Wellness. And today I'm thrilled to introduce a truly extraordinary guest, someone whose rhythm resonates with well-being and harmony. Sarah Westwood, the heartbeat behind Primal Sound UK, joins us today to share the transformative power of African drumming for team building and well-being. Her passion for creating positive vibes and fostering unity through the primal beats of African drums is nothing short of inspiring. Whether it's the energetic pulse of team building sessions or the soothing soundscape of relaxation through sound bars, Sarah has a unique way of connecting people to the primal rhythms within ourselves.
When I was a youngster, when I was a teenager, I had classical guitar lessons, and so I studied the guitar for a few years, and I did really enjoy it. But I used to get so nervous playing in front of people that in the end I gave up because I used to shake really badly, and so I gave up, and that was me. I didn't do any more music for about 10 years, and then in my mid-20s I came across somebody who was learning to play the Irish drum, the buran. Wow. And I just thought it looked like good fun, so I got him to take me to his teacher. And when I met, it's a guy called Neil Law, and Neil played, so that the buran is an instrument very like this. This isn't one, but it's similar. And you put your hand here and you play diddly 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 like this. But Neil played with without dampening the skin, so it left the skin reverberating really strongly. So when he played, it was actually a really trancy experience. So I was completely awestruck. I thought, wow, I really like that. So I got lessons with him, and then within a few weeks I started going along to Irish sessions and playing in the pubs, and really enjoying just being part of this music. But the amazing thing was with playing drums as opposed to playing the guitar, which is very fine movements. The drums, it's such big movements that no one could tell if I was trembling or not, and so I lost my nerves. And so actually just playing drums was suddenly opened up this whole new world of making music without having to be performing. I wasn't in the spotlight. I was just a part of other music happening, and that was wonderful to me. And then one drum led on to another, so that led on to me joining a samba band, the Birmingham School of Samba at the time, great big group. And coming into them in their rehearsal one very sunny afternoon, and they were all just rocking away, and it was the most amazing sound, huge samba drums that they have. They're from Brazil. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I came across, and it was such a random thing to happen, but it really did change the direction of my life. A West African guy was playing in a pub in Moseley in South Birmingham, and I just happened to be in there at the same time as he was practicing, and again I was completely blown away. It was the most amazing sound. I thought, I really need to learn to play that. And so I got him to give me lessons, and I had lessons with him, one-to-one lessons, for about a year, and then ended up going to Africa, to West Africa, and see it really properly, seeing whole bands playing. And at the time I was actually an artist, so I'd been to art college and I'd been doing artwork for several years, but it didn't really suit my personality, because I was cooped up at home just doing work at home, and I used to get very perfectionist, And so I was very self-critical, and so it wasn't the best experience really. And then as soon as I started to get out and play music with people, suddenly I had this whole new world of community and having fun with people really. And then so I went to Africa, and when I came back, no one was actually teaching West African drumming in the city in a group setting. And so I decided to set myself up doing a group actually just here at the Custard Factory. And so this is playing the West African djembe, which is what this drum is here. And the group got really successful. And then someone said, I bet schools would be interested in this. I bet children would love to do this. They gave my name to a school. And before I knew it, I was starting to go around schools teaching drumming and having much more fun than I'd had in the past 6 years. And so that's how it happened. And that was 30 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so before I knew it, I had a little business teaching drumming, which I absolutely adored, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's children and adults, all ages now.
And now it's all sorts, yeah. So in all that time, my business expanded. I've done lots and lots of work in schools. I absolutely adore primary children, and so that has been, you know, a real joy over the years. And then I do lots of work in the community as well, and people with you know, disabilities and illnesses. Then I started to do some corporate team building work again. But all along I've kept my groups for the general public going as well, and which is absolutely, you know, fantastic. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Just to go back a bit, your experience in West Africa. So did you just kind of get up and say, I'm going? Or was somebody, did you go on your own? I just thought that was like such a brave thing to get up and say, right, I've got to go find out more. And there's the heart of it, so I'm going to go to the heart.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was very lucky. This is back in the day when there was more funding around for artists to you know, improve what they're doing. And so I actually managed to get some funding to go, and I had my boyfriend at the time as well, so we went together.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And oh my goodness, it was so phenomenal. And you know, I've been back a few times since, and to see, you know, I mean, we do our best in this country to learn, and you know, and it is you know, absolutely joyful thing to do, no matter what stage you're at, whether you're a complete beginner or whether you've been playing for donkey's years. But seeing the way that African people play is just something else. You know, it's just, it's awe-inspiring. I think especially because in this country we tend to be quite you know, restrained, don't we really? Slightly inhibited. But there, you know, when they play the music, it is full-bodied, you know, and it's like their whole body, their whole, you know, emotions, and there's just no holding back at all. So it's just, you know, jaw-dropping. I've had so many amazing experiences there. Fantastic.
Wow. That's really, it's inspiring, and it's beautiful to, like you say, be able to get to the heart of what it is that you love, and then experience that, and then bring that, a piece of that with you.
People all ages love drumming, you know, and grown-ups get just as excited playing, but with children it's just so absolutely blatant, isn't it? You just know that they're having a good time. And then when you get you know, a whole class playing as well, I mean, it's you know, there might be really little children, even nursery and reception children even, but still when you get 30 children playing drums, it's the most amazing sound, and so they get really excited. And you know, and even with 30 years of teaching, I never lose my joy of teaching, because it's always that feeling of sharing something amazing with people, and it's the energy of the whole group. It's that thing about, as I say, when I was playing classical guitar, it's such a lone instrument, and you're, you know, in the spotlight, and I didn't, you know, enjoy that at all. It was too much pressure. But when you're sharing music with other people, you've just got that absolute collective joy, and then we can all have a really good time.
Yeah, what we were talking earlier, because it's almost like, well, I think everybody has this idea that music connects people, but that's like listening, I don't know, in a nightclub, but playing the music, creating that experience and being part of that must also connect people and make them feel unified in a group.
It really, really does. It really does. There's lots of research now, which I find interesting, all about what happens in the brain when people are playing music together. And I mean, at the end of the day, I know I've done this for 30 years because it's a fantastic thing, and people, as soon as they start to play the drums, they tend to get hooked because it is such a wonderful and uplifting experience. So that's absolutely brilliant, and I know all those benefits of being in community together, that it's something that we're doing collectively. It's a shared joy. People feel proud of what they're achieving, and just the physical exercise of it. We're having a good time, having a laugh. But it's really interesting, you know, when people play music, are involved in playing music. And this is the same with children as well, why having children playing music is such a good idea, because it when they do MRI scans of the brain, when people are playing music or just listening to music as well, all areas of the brain light up. So it lights up the brain kind of globally, and so there's all these fantastic neural connections happening, and music is really, you know, quite unique in that. And so and then when people are actually being creative as well in the drumming. So in West African drumming, it's very structured, very highly structured, so you learn very specific patterns. And so in my classes I do a lot of that, because it gives people all the kind of basics and the technique of how to play. But what I'm starting to do a lot more now is give people much more creative space. And so I do something called intuitive drumming or drumming meditation, where people are free to make up their own rhythms as we go. And it's such a fantastic thing. And because it's kind of really in the moment, and you don't know what's going to happen. But again, with the MRI scans, so there's kind of 3 different levels. People just listening to music is fantastic. It definitely does do fantastic things to the brain and lights up all different areas. When you're actively playing music, that's like a whole other level as well, because of all the physical stimulus. And then when you're being creative as well, again, that's this whole other layer of connectivity and stimulus for the mind. So it's an amazing thing.
So 3 levels, but the creativity as well as playing is like the highest level, would you say, of the connectivity?
I mean, that's what I would say. That's what I would say.
Wow.
But you know, as you were saying, when people go to clubs and stuff, they are also dancing, and that dancing in itself is so creative. So, you know, probably in that kind of situation as well, people are still being creative, and they're still completely immersed and expressing that music in their bodies. So, you know, so it's not to say that it's not as good in other ways, but it's all wonderful. It's huge fun. People who are more shy, I mean, I was really, really shy as a youngster, and I still can be, but teaching gives me this false sense of importance, so that helps. But for people who are more shy, being in a drum circle is actually a very safe place to be, because everybody's playing, and you can kind of get lost in all that. But no, the corporate team building with the drumming is giving people a real wow experience, and so people do become more relaxed, but it's by by way of having fun. And so we get people. I get people playing an easy rhythm that everyone can do, and then I build up lots of different parts of it as well, giving it an introduction, some breaks in the middle, and some other kind of fun things, and then a spectacular finish. And so by the end of, whether it's an hour or something like that, they've learned something that they're really proud of. That sounds amazing, and so it just makes everybody happy. Yeah. So often it's after maybe they've had a day of training, something that's quite hard work, and they want something to just for people to have a good time together at the end. Really, my real passion and joy is to help people with their well-being. And so I mean, it does do that anyway, whether you call it team building or not. But it's really great now to be offering a lot more to the general public, and doing a lot more groups now where people can come and just feel a lot better at the end of it. Often people will come to drumming, and especially if it's an evening session and they've maybe got really tired from work, and within minutes, it just refreshes people. People lose their headaches, and people's mood gets raised, and so they go out singing and dancing and laughing. So it's a great feeling.
Yeah, and that must be a beautiful experience, knowing that people have come in probably quite tense and stressed.
Exactly.
And then you're seeing them go out feeling uplifted and
transformed.
light.
Yes. Yeah. And me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, I do it because it's a joyful thing to share with people. But it's as much, for my well-being too, and because life is hard, isn't it? We all have so many challenges, and the beauty of something like, drumming, or whether you join a choir or anything like that, it gets you out of your, the kind of little prison of your self, really, of your, self-criticism. It's all that self-talk that makes us so stressed out. Yeah. And so doing something like drumming, you haven't got time to think about the past, or to worry about the future, to think about anybody else who's upset you that day. You haven't got time to think about it. You have to be in the moment, concentrating on just what you're doing. And I always think of this phrase, this phrase of coming to your senses, and I think that is just so exactly what we're doing on different levels, that we're coming back into our physical body, we're interacting with the world in a physical way, and that draws us out of all this chatter in our heads. So anything that gets you interacting with nature, or whether it's playing an instrument or whatever it is, or doing yoga, if it gets us into our bodies, then that takes us away from all that stressful thinking that goes on. And there have been studies as well, not only the effect on the mind. So for instance, there have been plenty of studies showing that people who engage in regular drumming, say they've had experiments where they've had people drumming for 10 weeks, just having an hour's drumming a day, and that their mood is improved by the end of it, but also and all the social benefits as well of just being within this community as well, which is also fantastic. But also there are other physiological changes in the body. So they found that it helps your immune system, and possibly the most important as well is the effect on your nervous system. And just like anything that's meditative as well, anything that's absorbing, whether it is yoga or meditation, singing, chanting, all of those kind of things really help to reset our nervous system and help us to relax. So there have been quite a lot of really great experiments showing fantastic benefits of drumming. Something else that's interesting as well is that when people drum together, and just the same as if people are singing together as well, people's brain waves get into sync with the other people in the group, which I think is an incredible thing. So it's like that vibration and the frequency just it causes an effect called entrainment, where we all get into sync with each other. So you can imagine as well, with our brainwaves being in sync, just what that does in terms of compassion and empathy, you know, opening to other people. So I think it's an amazing thing. Also for the hormone system as well, the endocrine system as well, it increases all the feel-good hormones, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin especially, which is the hormone, of course, that makes you feel close to somebody, really. So it's all good stuff. You know, in ancient times, as you say, that they definitely would use, and as we all do now, people all around the world will use drumming to change, as you said, their mood, their you know, get into altered states. But from a very basic human level, one of the things about drumming is that it gives people, because it bonds people so well as a community, of course it increases the sense of safety within that group, and then which gives advantages to that group for surviving, because everybody is joined together. So I think from a very kind of survivalist point of view, I think it goes that deep, really, that you're part of something. And it's what we all crave, isn't it? Especially with our Western culture, that actually we get so cut off from each other. And actually what we crave really is that sense of community, and that we're a valuable part of society.
Yeah.
That's it. We've lost so much of our sense of safety in each other. Yeah. I mean, I've been involved with it for about 30 years, and I think probably I can imagine, I mean, I was very young then, but in the 60s and 70s I can imagine, you know, with the people's movements, that you know, drumming was probably becoming more popularized. But yeah, absolutely, in the last 10 or 20 years there have been, for instance, in this country, more West African master drummers have been coming over to this country. So we've had, you know, such you know, much more access to fantastic teaching, and I think absolutely, and just like the all the singing that's happening now, community singing has gone, you know, really prevalent now, hasn't it? And especially, of course, after the last few years of lockdowns, we all so crave being together in community and doing something really positive together. So I think it's the same with the drumming. There are drumming groups, whether there's drum circles, there's you know, African drumming, there's samba drumming. You know, all of these different types of music are happening all over the country now.
Thank you for listening. As we conclude part 1 of our enlightening conversation with Sarah Westwood of Primal Sound UK, we hope you've been inspired by the transformative power of drumming. Join us next Sunday for part 2, where Sarah delves deeper into the realm of sound baths, exploring their profound ability to induce deep relaxation and unlock the benefits of harmonics. Get ready to immerse yourself in a symphony of healing vibrations and discover the full spectrum of well-being with Sarah Westwood.